Solving equations. What we want to do here is that we want to find out the unknown variable. What this means is that we don't know what the letters represent. Now it's also important to know that a variable can be any letter in the alphabet, but usually is X or N. Usually variable is X or N. When we solve a variable, what we do is we figure out what these letters mean, what number or what we have to do to these letters to make them equal our final answer. The first step is we need to find out what we're doing to the number to get it to equal our final answer. We need to figure out if we're adding, we are subtracting, we are multiplying, or if we are dividing our number. In this example, we are subtracting. Once again, our first step is to find out what we are doing to our number. How about this one? Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing our number? That's right, in this example we are adding the number. First step is to see whether we are adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. How about this one? In this example, that's right, we are subtracting. Now, does the X mean multiply, or is the X the variable? The X is the variable. Remember, variables can be any letter in the alphabet. Sometimes we change it so that it's not as confusing. In this one, it's confusing. X could mean multiply, or X could mean the thing we don't know. That is why sometimes mathematicians change the letter of the variable. Here we see another example that's a little bit tricky. The X means that we're going to multiply. And the mathematician changed the variable to M so that we realized that there's some number times 3 that will get us to 33. Some number times 3 that will get us to 33. What letter represents the variable in this problem? Good, that's right, it's M. And what are we going to do? What math function do we need to figure out? Some number times 3 will get us to 33. Okay, we're ready for one last example before we get started. Again, our variable is M, meaning some number, we don't know that number yet, but we can figure it out. Some number divided by 5 will get us to equal 25. So now you're ready to start going. The first thing that we do, the first actual step we do, after we figure out whether it's plus, minus, times, or division, is to do the opposite of that on both sides. I know this can be confusing at first, but there's a reason we do this. The reason is we want our variable to end up all by itself. We want our variable to end up all by itself. So, since I see that addition is what this problem is asking for, I do the opposite of addition on both sides. It says plus 5, so I subtract 5 on this side. I will also subtract 5 on this side. And if you've done this correctly, 0 should end up being on one side, we have our answer for the variable on the other side. So our answer is on the equal side. Okay, so here is our problem. I've made it a little bit easier for you to read here. Once again, we did the opposite thing, the opposite math function on both sides. And this leaves me with the answer of 20. The answer of 20. What we need to do is go back and double check our answer. So the way you write your answer is you write the letter, then the answer, then double check by putting the answer you got, which is 20, in for our letter. Since it's the same thing, since P equals 20, we can go ahead and put 20 in where the P is. So I'll do this right up here to show my work. 20 plus 5 really does equal 25. So our answer is correct. We did everything right. Nice job. Get ready for another example. Alright, we got another one coming up here. N minus 37. Just real quick, we'll go over some basic things. Our variable is n. N is what we are trying to get by itself and figure out what n equals. The first thing we do is see if it's plus or minus, and I see here that it's going to be minus. So I'm ready for step 2, and I do the opposite of this math function. It's very important to do this on both sides of the equal sign. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. So I'll write plus 37 on my first side, plus 37 on the side opposite of the equal sign. It's the same on both sides. So I've gone ahead and done the opposite of the math function on both sides. On the side with the variable, I added 37. And on the side with the equal sign, I also added 37. I can check and see here that I got the correct answer because on the side with the variable, it came out to equal 0. And on the side with the variable, it equals 89. Now we've got a very easy thing we need to do here. It's very important you don't skip this. It's so easy you think you might be able to skip it, but later when the problems get harder, this will make your life tons easier. Simply write down what the variable equals. N equals 89. N equals 89. Writing down what the variable equals will help you out tons and tons. Our very last step, we go ahead and we double check our answer. Where there's the n, I can put the number 89. We just found out that n equals 89. It's the same thing as 89. So I'm going to double check my answer. 89 for n, and we do this part just like normal. Minus 37 equals 2 5/10, so 52. And we got the correct answer. Nice job. Keep going. Alright, try some on your own. I started you off with some pretty easy ones to make sure that you got the right process. As you go, they'll get harder, and once you've mastered this, you can go ahead and practice some on your own. So our first one is x plus 6 equals 11. We need to find out what our variable x is. Okay, here's our first step. Minus 6 on one side, minus 6 on the other side. Regroup. 5 is the answer here. Of course, 0 is the answer here. Now I'm going to see if you remember that easy step that you should not skip. What is the easy step that you should not skip? Give you a hint. That's right, an easy step that we should not skip is to write down what the variable equals. Only one last thing to do, which is to double check our answer. So instead of writing x plus 6 equals 11, we can write down our variable answer, 5 plus 6, and it really does equal 11. See if you can do this one all on your own. When you're ready, click the answer button. The answer is n equals 8. We'll prove it over here in blue. $52 plus 8 gets us to 60. Okay, ready? We got a little bit of a more tricky one coming up. Okay, here's the more tricky one. So long as you follow our steps, I think you'll be okay. Here's the hint. You need to do the opposite of the math function. The variable is j. So j times 6 equals 42. See if you can figure out what our first step is. Go. Alright, our first step is divide by 6. The opposite of multiplication is divide. So I would divide this side by 6, and I would divide 42 by 6. This leaves me with j, our variable j, equals 7. Now you math wizards probably got this. 7 times 6 really does equal 42. One quick thing to notice is that I did write down what my variable equals. We can't skip that step. Super easy step, but we cannot skip it. Same thing with double checking our work. It'll take you about 35 seconds to do, but it's definitely something that you need to get in the practice of doing. Wonderful job. Last example coming up here soon. Alright, last example. Now this one looks tricky at first. Some number divided by 8 equals 9. Some number divided by 8 equals 9. Let's see if you can remember our first step, which is to do the opposite of this. Let's see if you figured out what the opposite of that is. Times what number right, times 8. So 9 times 8 equals 72. Write our variable, c equals 72. Finally, we say 72 divided by 8 and see if it really does equal 9. It does, so we found the right answer. Alright, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. Your next step is to work on the worksheet on your own. I'll go ahead and double check it. Once you understand this, we'll move on to part 2. Once you've shown me that you can do this all by yourself and be fully able to do this independently, we can start to do a little bit more tricky stuff. Great job. You should feel proud of yourself.